So today is Friday. We like to discuss celebrity gossips, stuff amongst celebrity industries. So the celebrities that have been trending the most this past week has been Alex Ekubo and fiancée Acholonu about their 5-year relationship they didn't have any intimate relationship, and the whole matter went viral. People were talking about it, everybody was speaking. A blogger, Dotun, jumped on the bandwagon because the issue was that fiancée came out to say that that Alex hadn't touched her in 5 years because he wanted to remain celibate, saying that he shouldn't do anything until after marriage. And people started going on. People down started treating her like a victim of a 5-year drought in this situation. Then Dotun came out to say that vendors, I thought the moral standing of our country and our religious beliefs is that no sex before marriage. So what's the hula baloo? Why are you making it look as if it was a bad thing that he insisted on celibacy? Then of course Daddy Freeze jumped in there and said that was he also celibate during that period? Different angles, both left, right, and center. And as we always say, when discussions happen out there, until YourView takes it on, really, we are not able to really properly look at all the possible angles. So that's why we're bringing this matter on the table. Is it still right to be celibate before your marriage? And if you are celibate, is it something two adults can agree to? Because in this situation, it seems like the adults we have today do not understand celibacy anymore. And why was everybody going after this woman or this man for choosing making that decision? What are your thoughts on this whole thing? I mean, I'd like the ladies to, I'd like to hear your views before I open our phone lines. You can call us on 081-270-5368-709-1390-76948. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. I think it's BC that always says on that Nigerians are hypocrites. Like, we're one of the most hypocritical species God ever created, because these are things we do. But don't just get, I think it's my say, don't just get caught. As long as you're doing it behind closed doors. So during that 5, but let us come out and say, oh, I am so celibate. What are your thoughts on this? Are we just hypocritical, or do we need to start bringing back the values our parents taught us, or the Bible teaches us every day? Mariam, would you like to start?
Top question.
So when I saw this, honestly, when I saw it, I was more like, there's been, there's a lot of conversation that we don't like to have in the public space. We feel like private things should be private. That's my opinion. If you're doing before you get married, keep it to yourself. If you are abstaining before you get married, keep it to yourself. So that there won't be need to lie. Because sometimes somebody will now come and say, no, we've been very, very faithful, we were abstaining, and then you find out something else is going on. Like we saw someone that was claiming to be a cross-dresser male, find out that he is not a she, actually, but he was having a girlfriend, and he was in a sexual relationship with a woman. But across on social media, he dresses like a she and is monetizing the position. So I feel that some things should be private. Issues should be resolved privately. I was very, very sad when I saw this really beautiful lady come outside to start discussing private issues, because people kept questioning and questioning. When I read the trend on Twitter, they asked that question, she was replying. You didn't owe anybody replies to their questions. Let people form their opinion, because whatever you say, they will still believe what they originally wanted to believe. I think that relationships and marriage should be for mature people, and it requires a lot of maturity to deal with the social media space. Fancy shouldn't have gotten a relationship and privacy of a relationship to be out online. However, she has come to say that she dated Alex for 5 years, and they did not have intimate relationship. And the social media people have said they've always suspected Alex in the first place, that Alex is not, that was their own suspicion. And now her comment is validating a belief that people have about Alex in the first place.
Yeah, but there's a part that people thought he was gay.
And
that's what she's talking about.
That's what I said. People feel like he's not straight, so...
But she said it herself that he told me he won't sleep with me, but I should go and sleep with other men.
Why are you whispering on national television?
Read it now. Because we need this. Read it. Me, I don't want to talk.
So,
Yes, I think the conversation is not about, like you
I
always
don't like
say,
talking about people.
good. It's not about, it's about the
Them.
lessons we can
Lessons,
draw from
obviously.
this. And every time we talk about red flags in relationships, and I think the question is this a red flag if you're in a relationship, if you're an adult and you're in a relationship with another adult of marriable age and everything is okay, and the person says to you, let's be celibate, 1 year, okay, 2 years, but let's be celibate 5 years. Should that be a red flag to anyone? If I had a younger sister and she came to me and said, this person, we've been in a relationship 5 years and nothing has happened, I would think it's a red flag. Not because I'm promoting premarital intimacy, but because I feel that usually people who are celibate, you are full-grown adults, you have everything sorted.
Yeah.
Because you want to get married and you have agreed to be celibate, usually you would want your marriage to happen sooner. You would not want to keep it for 5 years. Everything is down. We're not talking finances. We're not talking someone is in school and trying to finish up school. We're not talking unable to visit each other. We're talking of two full-grown adults that everything is just laid out, and the only thing stopping them is their decision to, their decision to or not do it. So for me, it will be a red flag. Usually when you hear of people who have been celibate, they will tell you how hard it was, how hard the wait was, how I cannot
excited.
wait. And then
Let's
even
get
at the
married
wedding,
tomorrow.
like, I was,
That's why
the moment I gave her the ring, I told her we had to do this in 6 months, or I had to do this in 3 months because I cannot wait anymore. And so to hear that 5 years, for me, it's just a red flag. And as the girl, it's not about telling people. And my concern with her is she was still insisting on being married. It seemed like she still wanted to be married to this person. So if it was not a red flag for you, why are you bringing it out?
Yeah.
But for me, if I had a younger sister, it would be a red flag, definitely.
Nima, your thoughts on this?
we know
Yeah,
where you
totally.
stand. 0, 0.
So for me, Alex is the right thing, except that there are too many gray lines that I cannot
Yes, it's
understand.
difficult to understand.
So some people date 9 years, they don't have sex. In my own experience, sex is normal. And so I will even praise it and make it an example for others that it's possible, even though you have the urges
9 years.
and you respect each other, and then you eventually marry. And so
9 years adult or 9 years teenage love that grows into
9 years, 100 level love till you finally are able to get married, but you abstain and you're committed to each other. So sex is not the parameter for commitment.
Yes.
But for the way this lady is talking about it, it's like she wants to marry him and compel him to change from whatever she thinks he is. So part of the details Boreal refused to read because me, I don't conclude with her reading. He says, but for one major red flag that made me devastated was that he told me he won't sleep with me, but I should go and sleep with other men. Imagine telling that to your fiancée that has kept herself for you for 5 years. At that moment, I realized he didn't truly love me. That's your red flag. Just walk away. You leave him. You don't attach issues. You look for somebody that falls within your, except you want to, because he's a popular person, you yourself want to get popular and start a pity party. I don't understand why we're having this conversation. If someone, in those days, if someone was dating me, I remember the first person that asked me out, I broke up with him because it was becoming too touchy. And then he went around spreading one stupid news like, I don't even owe her, I don't know why she's so like that. And end of relationship. You understand? Because it was a ground rule for me. Don't touch me. So if touching is your, and I didn't even have a conversation about it with anybody, I just walked away. That person is not following the rules, Kito Machelon. And I moved away. But you start a conversation as if you want to change him. You're calling him out, calling people out, bringing. If you're hurt, deal with your pain and move on. How do you want to, if, for instance, he was one of those women, or she was one of those women who find out that he pretended they married and then he's the other side. Remember one caller that called the other day that
she found out
and
that
you're marriage.
Yeah.
And you're finding out. Which cry do you want to cry at that time? It's already late.
Yes.
So this kind of thing is grace that you're enjoying. Just be going. Alora Mirabi, don't let him see you again, don't see him again.
She's already said that she didn't want to get back into a
Why are we
relationship
having
with
the
him.
conversation?
She put it out in one of her tweets that she doesn't want to get back into a relationship with him, but that she had to apologize because he insisted that she did
Okay,
to
can we
protect her
pack
public
this
image.
story?
Okay, so if we
let's
decide
pack
to,
yes.
if we decide to ignore
flag.
all the stories around
details.
this, the details around this particular story, and talk about
Let's
premarital
focus.
intimacy,
Yes.
how long should you wait?
So wait, let me put in the proper context also. So let's pack Fancy and
Yeah.
Alex's matter. We're not interested in their details.
Details.
Our focus is, at what point, just like you said, at what point should you know that the fact that there's no intimacy in this relationship is something I should need to start thinking about, or is a red flag for me? Do I stop it? How long do I need to take? Do I wait to 2 years, 3 years, 1 month? Especially when I am a Christian or I'm a Muslim, where I know that I'm supposed to abstain.
Yeah.
Now, because I abstain, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I abstain. And I finally enter, and I find that this woman or this man cannot, are not able to do anything.
We're not compatible.
They're not compatible. Oh, no, they're not even able
But they're
to.
even honest.
That's what I
They're
mean.
honest.
Some
They're
are
impotent.
impotent. Some are they have
I've seen
medical
wicked
issues.
people that cover
So
up
it
impotency.
happens. When the Bible was telling us, don't, thou shalt not do. That
Fornicate.
asked us to be celibate and all that. At that time, they didn't discover that some people will enter the marriage and might be impotent. Impotence was not really a medical condition at that time.
Just that we are discussing.
But now, today, there are other factors. People had abortions when they were younger. Their wombs were thrown out for some reason, and they keep quiet about it. They enter the marriage, and then husband finds out that you can't get pregnant. There are different things. So, should we start rethinking this moral code of don't before marriage?
No. We're not rethinking the moral code of don't before marriage at all. We're not. We wouldn't throw out what is right because some evil people are
Yes.
doing what is wrong.
Okay.
What is right is for you to abstain, protect yourself, because you're getting sexually involved with so many people that it affects your relationship going forward, and that is scientifically proven. But we know that body is not firewood, and some people would have experiences, they will feel like I'm already going to marry this person. It doesn't happen, and they've already exposed themselves, and so your life can happen to you, but it does not change what is right. So what is right is, this is moral, you and I are faithful to each other, we get married, we do it by all religious standards. But some people don't follow religious standards, and for them, they are experimenting as they please.
No, but you see,
But however, there are
wait,
evil
wait,
people.
wait. I want us to say what you're saying. Let us not always assume that once you are allowed to have the freedom of doing, you do everywhere. There's some responsible doers where they do because they only have two. There may be one person per time.
Yeah.
Maybe in 4 or 5 years, I'm only dating one person, and I'm only we're not yet married, but I'm committed to that one person.
Why can't you just marry the person?
Hanging there. No. Maybe something happens
According
and
to
we
our
fall out.
religion.
Listen now, I don't want us to have the extreme that you're sleeping around. There are those that sleep around. Is that the category?
Yes.
But there's some people who feel responsible.
Committed.
I'm in a committed relationship.
Yes.
We've been dating for 3 years and we're intimate. At some point, something happens and we had to break up. And I take a 2-year break. I don't date anybody. And then I meet somebody else again.
Yes.
And so that is
That can happen.
That's a responsible doing. You're not doing everywhere. So in that situation, how long do I stay with you to know that, okay, how do I know the red flags? So do we continue this moral code of let us not do at all? You now enter one chance.
Well,
That's the conversation. Let's be real here.
Some things are meant to be dealt with in a marriage, a committed arrangement. Some things that we test, that are doing tests back and forth,
Yes.
are some things that you deal with within a relationship, as in a spiritual committed relationship. And we'll precede one, we'll carry one, and then later we'll be talking about it. You know, some people spend the years that they could use to solve their relationship problems outside their marriage, and then they end up not being married, and the problems are still the same. You're dating someone, you're trying to get pregnant, you didn't get married, and then several years back, I'm wondering, I could have been married, and these problems are still the same, they're not different.
Exactly.
You want to be sure you want to have children. Where did you write it down? You want to be sure he's impotent. Where did they put the book? If it's not because of Waka Waka self, how do you determine potency, impotency? How do you determine these things?
Until marriage.
If you're concerned about a marriage, a companionship, somebody you're committed to for life and all of that, that's how you come in and you start to deal with life's issues together, holding each other's hands. What's this? We are confusing too many things. And how this whole thing started, I don't know, but where we are now, we know it's not easy. You've tried with Dagbaja A. Tomorrow you're dealing with Dagbaja's A example with the person you're finally with. You're going back and forth, comparing the person. The other person too meets you and you smile by mistake. Is insecure. These people start to measure how the past was. I don't understand.
Okay.
Why don't you like life easy and simple?
Okay. Let me concentrate on red flags. And red flag for me in this situation is not only because if the person is not intimate with me, that means the person is not into women. It's also a red flag that does the person really want to be committed to you. This asking women to stay celibate this is not the first time we've heard it, but because we've seen situations where the girl is asked to stay celibate while the man is not. So for the girl, is it a red flag for you if you're asked to stay celibate while the man is running around because he's the man and you're the woman and you're meant to keep yourself? You know, she said at the time she met him, I know we're not talking about that, I'm just using that as an example, she was inexperienced. There are conversations I have heard where for a young girl who's a virgin and inexperienced, I want to keep you for the marital home. So I'm keeping you, you're a treasure. I don't want to soil this treasure so I can go out and do all the things I want to do with different kinds of women, but I'll keep you. And many girls have been kept that way. And they feel happy, actually. They feel quite treasured that, yes, my mom may be doing it. After all, you're the one that is giving yourself, but me, I'm his treasure.
I'm the one that is marrying.
Yes. If I had a younger person, what would I tell her? For me, I would say it's a red flag, because for me, it means that in marriage, he will still not be committed to you. If he cannot commit to you now and knows that you're a treasure and willing to wait with you while you're this treasure, then he will not be, when you get married, he will not be committed to you. He will say, keep, being the treasure in the marriage while I do all I need to do. There are so many other reasons why people ask, for celibacy, and it's not always, honest. It's almost like a power play, especially when you have like a younger person involved. And so for me, these red flags are important that we discuss it. Many times we discuss red flags, we think it's about beating, hitting. That's true. But there are some emotional red flags too that we need to pay attention to.
Let me go on a... Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this matter of celibacy, red flags, and marriages. Somebody sent me a message. Morel, do you know that in Catholic Church, a marriage will be annulled if the man is found to be impotent? I didn't know that. That was the first. Now, let me put it in. Let me put this context out there, because I know the story. I don't know the person personally, but a young girl who had a very healthy sexual relationship with people. Yeah, and maybe not, let me not say healthy, unhealthy sexual escapades with different people as a young person going into university, and then she got out of university, found Christ, gave her life to Christ, decided to be celibate. So she has had a few experiences, and then she became pious. Married a minister, found somebody in church. They waited, I think, about a few years before they now finally got married. She now entered the marriage, and the man was not doing anything. Because everything was about fasting, praying, he's not good, he's anti-God, he was just religionizing everything in that area. And this is a woman who had a bit of experience in the world. Now she's within the, what do we call our sect again? She's in the
Christendom.
She's in Christendom. She's in the Christendom, and then she's not having a fulfilled sexual life. Now, how could she have raised a red flag? Because as a child of God, she was being celibate. Because if she wasn't celibate, she would have known that this guy wasn't active or didn't know what to do in that area. And maybe they would have fixed it. I'm just putting different scenarios out there. So what could she have done right? Because now that she's trapped in this marriage with a Christian.
She's not trapped. She's not a trap. No. There's a challenge. There is a intimacy challenge which can be addressed with a coach.
Thank you.
There's
a coach that a husband would not want to address.
Because you will have the conversation.
Nigerian men wouldn't want to address this kind of
I think that at the end of the day, people need to be able to, there's no conversation too heavy to have, and I realize that they are. So for women, it is intimacy. For men, it is weight. Many men find it difficult to tell their partner she's gaining weight because they know women are very sensitive about it. I've heard the conversation, there's like, a guy told me that there's no nice way to tell your husband, your wife, she's getting fat. It is something very personal, and they will turn it into something else. Or that maybe you should clean your makeup. They say, so you mean I don't look good with makeup? There are some conversations that are sensitive, but when you are married and you are committed, there is no conversation you cannot have. So if you are in that marriage and you feel like you are not satisfied in the other room, you should be able to have that conversation with your husband and let him know, see, this is a major issue. Because whether you find out before or after, you might find out before and an accident happens. Let's talk about these things. People have accidents and they become impotent in marriage, and they were good men. They were faithful. They were amazing in bed, but life happened to them. Will you now pack up that marriage because it can no longer satisfy you in bed? We must be able to understand that there's resilience to different challenges in marriage. It might be sexual-oriented one. It might not be, but you will face different ones and you will have to address those issues when they come up. No excuses. But there are wicked men and women. People who intentionally go into marriage knowing that they will prey on the innocence. You see an innocent girl that probably does not know anything, you prey on her innocence and say, because you know that you are not straight, you know that you are interested in other kind of sexual whatever, and then you pick on a girl because you want to cover your face and marry such a person when you are not going to further that relationship. Or you are impotent and you marry someone knowing fully well you are impotent. Those are evil actions, and I feel anybody caught in that situation should go for an annulment because you were deceived into that marriage.
Let me take this call from Yakub. I'll come to you, Nima. Good morning, Yakub. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead.
Good morning to you all. Mariah, quickly, because of time. This very particular topic is a very serious one. And then getting married to someone in the middle of water, you get to know that maybe you cannot do anything. There's no how that marriage is going to work. Let me quickly give you a simple example here. This is a life story I'm about to tell you. I have a friend. Because of time, I will summarize it. I have a friend that he really wants to marry one lady, and then he went ahead and told this very particular lady. The only thing that he said, my friend, is Quran. What I say is Quran is that even me that a friend of mine cannot even tell me you cannot do that. I don't know. But this very particular lady is eager to marry him, and then she was trying to force that marriage so that they can do the marriage stuff in time, and then they will go to that other room stuff. But I don't even know my friend cannot do that. But my friend has told me that, come, if we get to this marriage, I can't do this thing. I say, what are you trying to talk about? He said, other room stuff. I say, hey, you can't do what? How do you go to this? But I give him a tip. I told him that, tell this lady that, Quran does not allow this. Let us keep him wait until the marriage day. We keep him postpone this marriage until we resolve this very particular issue. After we resolve it, the following 2 weeks we went into the marriage. But if we cannot resolve that very particular other stuff, even if my friend married this lady, the marriage will totally collapse. You cannot. There's no 2 ways about that. Are you getting what I'm trying to say?
Thank you, Yakub.
If you get into a marriage and then you've got to know that your man cannot do the other room, what you do is that you have to leave. If you don't leave, you go ahead and cheat him. That is it. That is it.
Thank you, Yakub.
Good morning.
Yeah,
if you don't leave, you go ahead and cheat.
He had a friend that had issues in the other room that couldn't have intimacy relationship, and then he found out.
They opened up to him and they helped him.
They helped him medically. Some of these things can be medically dealt with.
It even opens up the conversation about men willing to open up about that part of their lives, even to their own friends. So it's something we always feel that
they can't talk to each other.
They don't talk to their wives because a man's
ego,
virility has to do, it's the man himself. Whether he can do or cannot do, it's the man. So if the wife suspects or if he thinks the wife thinks not so highly of his skills, he's not a man like that. And then he's also afraid to discuss with his friends because he feels that they will laugh at him. So I think men should do better in conversations like this. And luckily in this case, where it would have just been an issue that he would want to live with for the rest of his life, it was something that could be resolved. And that's the thing about marriage. A lot of people feel that this intimacy thing cannot be resolved. There are some people, yes, that haven't had as much experience. But what is the marriage bed for? As in experience, time galore. A lot of things happen. You learn something. Before you know it, you're even better than the person that when you came in was better. So the thing is, we should also talk about that in marriage. A lot of times when we talk about marriage and the lack of being able to do, we think that once you get to that marriage, and because you could not do it at the point of marriage, it can never improve. There's so many women, especially on the women's side, there's so many women who have gotten virgins and they have learned so many things within the marital bed.
Yes. Nima, let me let you come in because I have to wrap up.
Beyond the marital
I wanted
bed.
to respond to the scenario you painted of the woman who got married and the husband is not interested. They're making it seem like God hates sex. God loves sex. He's regulating it for the sanctity of the home and sanctity of family lineages. And that's why we're supposed to carry out certain things within that controlled setting. So if he doesn't want, you approach your husband. I said, use my husband if he's not in the mood. You do whatever you need to do to make your marriage work. And you open up. The problem is that most people don't talk about sex. You are, the way we were raised, it wasn't my mom that was my gist partner about sex. It was my dad and my auntie.
Your dad?
Yes, my dad. My dad talks about sex. So, and my auntie. And so the people you have that are your closest protection that you know you can discuss it, you open up to them. This is what I'm dealing with. And whatever experiences they have, they can even be helping you medically. For men who are watching, because I have one of these scenarios Stockwell painted of a man who's infertile, was previously married for about 9 years, left that marriage and went to marry another younger girl, not telling her the truth. And because he thinks that, no, I'm beyond repair. He might just be marrying someone who doesn't want to change diapers. Why not open up to that person? Let people know what you're dealing with. And if you feel so that way about it, talk to your closest person about the solution.
Because we laugh at them.
Yakub just gave us somebody who opened up to him and they worked together. If you don't feel secure enough to work with the person you will be married to, work with your closest relative to find a solution before you go. But don't trap somebody who now gets in, and some men will now be giving their mother's impression is the wife who has a problem while they are working the girl up, because women are supposed to have fertility problem and men don't.
Okay,
you're there pretending.
I'm going to go on a break. Let me link this to what Pastor Kingsley said. Pastor Kingsley Konkwo, very famous pastor, was saying that many Nigerian marriages have ended long ago. They're just being held together by society, poverty, and kids. And I can add sexual relations to that too, because many people, what makes a marriage has totally ended is only being held by a string of something. And that goes to where you're having issues where you've lied to somebody you were with. They have no idea that you've been deceptive, but you're just holding them on and they're just there. And even she knows that she's been lied to. So some women find solution where they get pregnant for somebody else, bring the children to the house and lie that it's yours. You know it is not yours because you know you've lied to her. She knows, and we're all just lying together and we're just there.
Yeah.
So because of society, so those people are there because of society. Husband knows that, I thought I was impotent. Wife says, let me go and bring it from outside. At least we have a family. The whole family is there, mommy, daddy, children, and we're all just smiling. Deception. It's happening in our country.
It is.
So society is the one that is holding you with a string. But if society looks away and allows you to be, everybody will tell each other the truth and then move on. But we don't do that because we don't want to. So why are we all just faking it? That's the real question. I have this caller. Good morning. Are you there?
Yes, good morning.
Thanks for calling, John. You're live.
Happy New Year to you, lady.
Happy New Year to you, sir.
Yes, you see, you are discussing a very, very sensitive and very key issue in marriages. Very sensitive and very key. You see, it's not just about the male alone. Women also are affected here. So people need to talk about sex before marriage. It's very important. It's key. I'm married. I experienced it early part of my marriage. But fortunately, we were able to work it out. Now, what about women who don't really orgasm? Have we talked about that?
What? Women who don't.
What about women who don't reach orgasm?
Okay.
Have you talked about that?
Okay.
It's a breakfast.
That's an issue.
We can talk about it.
Is that one an issue?
John, Mr. John, listen. Let's go on a break.
We can talk about it, but how do we couch it for breakfast?
For breakfast,
we can couch it for breakfast. So NBC doesn't give us this fine. Let's see what we can do, because it's an important conversation to have. Because somebody was telling me that she doesn't have we don't have the data, but we are sure, almost certain that 7 out of 10 women have never experienced it before.
And why?
And many of them haven't. And they just fake it, and that's it. Fake it because they want their own job in their mind is to please. If a guy is okay,
Please the Lord.
well, he's the Lord. Once a guy is fine, everything is fine. We can just move on. That's what women go through.
Let's go over.
Should we go into that conversation? Let me digest it. We'll talk about it after the break. Still discussing red flags, intimacy in marriage, and it's a breakfast show, so we're going to be very careful because we don't want youngsters watching this. But these are important issues for us to discuss because many homes are dependent. It's a new year. Hopefully, some people can hear this show today and be able to begin to make changes. So our last caller was talking about the end game, which I like to call Jerusalem, which is where in every situation, in every home, in every intimate activity, they're trying to hit Jerusalem. But some men don't know how to hit. Some women they've never gotten to Jerusalem. A lot of men have never gotten there. Some men don't even know how. They know that there's a road to Jerusalem. All the way, all the inner roads. Some men have no idea.
Is different.
They only just fly you straight to Jerusalem. They don't realize that it is the trip. It is there are different avenues you go. You go into this road, you see this flower, you come back out. They don't have a clue. They rather just take a flight straight to Jerusalem. And that's the problem with marriages today.
And then you leave the other passenger at the gate of Jerusalem. You are flown to Jerusalem. The partner is at the gate. You don't know that you have to walk hand in hand from the gate.
They are on the
all
same
the
page
way to Jerusalem. I get it.
I hope those who are adults understand what
Let
I'm
me
saying.
bring religion inside.
Okay, please bring
Professor Aslam said, one should not fulfill sexual intercourse with one's wife like an animal. There should be between each a play. Should I put the name?
The road to Mecca.
Yeah, so on the roads down, some trips are not flight trips. They are a trek.
Yes.
Walk the trek
Yes.
together. If one person jump, only one person gets
Get there.
and the other person
Is left behind.
So it's a prophetic saying, because in Islam there are books that you can learn what you need to do. And I read all of them before I married.
So descriptive.
So you read very well. It's not in details. The places you should never touch, places you can touch, and then what
Really?
they can do to
The book of Psalms is also, no, book of
Solomon.
Psalms.
Yes,
So
it's there.
I think
So,
it's
because
very,
somebody
very
told me
specific.
once that there was such a book.
Let me bring in another, still within the same space, but I think that we've already said something. Communication doesn't happen effectively. Honest communication regarding intimacy doesn't happen in marriage enough times to resolve any potential issue. And we've said this last year. There was a conversation we were having, and we said, have a regular review. A review of, are we doing okay? Am I doing well? Can you honestly tell me we're doing okay? What would you like me to do better? How can I serve you better? And it should be a mutual thing where the conversation happens on both sides. And the journey to getting and improving one another happens, because marriage is not one day. It is a lifetime journey of polishing one another, grooming one another, helping each other getting better. And so it's not like, oh, I didn't get it right in the first year, we have failed in marriage. Many marriages pack up prematurely. That if given proper nurturing, that marriage can still blossom into something beautiful. So it's important that we're starting the new year. Let's do a review. How was last year? What can I do better this year? Have that conversation and start intentionally working on how to get better
And just for
with
the
each other.
Bible part, there's a biblical journey to the place, and it's found in Song of Solomon from chapter 7, verse 1 to 5, and he breaks it down. If I break it down the way it breaks
Go
down,
and read it yourself.
Let me, we have to wrap up on this. Let me just take Jennifer. We're going to wrap up on this topic. Jennifer, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning, ladies. Good
Morning.
Yeah, very interesting topic we're discussing this morning. So I just want to focus around this issue about women who haven't been gotten to Jerusalem, if we are allowed to use that word. I think the issue is there is no really hard rule about this. If the couple are communicating on their way to Jerusalem, for example, if the woman feels that the man, doesn't know the route, it's just about communication. Tell man, this is where you're going. It's not really landing Jerusalem. So let's do it this way.
We don't land in
It's all about
Jerusalem.
communication, talking through the whole thing.
Yeah.
A typical African man would question the woman, oh, you've learned something. Who is seeking for this thing? And that's why sometimes most women just keep quiet and endure. You find that most women are enduring, in the marriages, and they're not really enjoying sex,
Thank
so
you.
we should encourage women and we should encourage couples generally to communicate during this act. And that way, we'll be able to satisfy each
Thank
other.
you so much, Jennifer. Some men, their egos get in the way. You think when it comes to this matter,
not
let
ego.
us drop egos. You think it's all ego?
You see, this communication is so important from my own experience. I appreciated being asked because I didn't know it was something somebody could discuss with the partner. So I appreciated being asked, how did you feel? I appreciated it more than anything. And I wondered, I asked, do you want to know? And so we talked about it. And somebody has to make that step. Somebody has to break it and make it normal. And I remember gossiping with my auntie the next day. They asked me, talk about it with the person so that you people are growing together. If you do not leave anybody on the side, the marriage will not fail if it comes to that.
Now, there's this.
It will not fail.
See, and this is important. This conversation, I've been seeing a lot of young people are saying that the access to pornography is affecting intimate relationships in marriage. And it got me thinking, where do good men and women go to get proper education about intimacy? Where can they go without feeling judged or without feeling that they'll be mocked? Where can they go and just be themselves? What these sites do is to give you all sorts of content without judging you. So we want people to have healthy, intimate relationships. Then we have to create spaces where they can come and talk about it without feeling a certain way. And I don't know, in churches, I never did the pre-marriage, whatever. I don't know if that is offered, where you sit down and you actually talk about it. Don't talk around it. Don't gloss over it. Like, talk about it. If a young man who's about to go into marriage has a specific question, is there someone to give that person a specific answer?
That's what the sister circle is. The sisters' night is for in Nikais. So when we gather at sisters' night, all the women gather, married women especially. They're supposed to be sharing experiences with the newly married person. And some people will not be putting sugar. I remember one time, when one of my aunties said to the new bride, come on, tell him to come on for lunch. And stupid me, when I was unmarried there, I thought it was food. She then looked at me and said, because the way you are looking at me, I'm not talking about food.
She knew that you didn't know.
When your husband goes to work angry, and that thing did not happen in the night, if you ask him if lunch is free, if his office is not far, tell him to come on for lunch. And telling the bride, do it any time of the day with your husband anywhere in the house.
That seems realistic.
No, because
just steps
people,
at least to start.
people, because we have this myth around it. We thought it was for some. So somebody has to demystify, break it down for a young girl to understand. Some people will never talk to you about it. My mom never thought it was something to talk about. I don't think she will even be able to talk about it.
We need to wrap up on this because this is something for...
So are there brothers that...
Yes, they do for guys, but guys, they'll be there discussing football. But the girls talk about it.
Men need to learn this stuff. Anyway, we have to wrap up. Let me take a final call from Theo. Morning, are you there, sir?
Yeah, good morning, I'm here.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. You're live. Go ahead, sir. Yes, very clear.
Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting topic, especially the journey to Jerusalem. My friend, because he said because the red cap. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My friend always said because the red cap chief, he can't go down there, can't give head.
Not the breakfast show. The breakfast show. Sorry,
I didn't hear him.
No, sir.
When they were giving the title, did anybody mention anything about not giving head? The list of
over and over again. Breakfast show, sir.
I can't hear what you say. I don't understand. So I didn't get that. I don't repeat it.
We cannot hear it on the breakfast show.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, let's just move on.
Okay, let's
you know what? This is
Biliki says she's missing BC and YK on this topic.
Yes.
Now then for break this table.
They would have said maybe we are nice people.
BC would have definitely scattered this table. But let's wrap it up. Because this is one of those topics that we need to go back home, digest it, and see how we can reproduce it for TV properly. Because it's an issue that has to be addressed on both sides. Deceitful men, deceitful women deceitful actually, and deceitful men also that they're not truthful about their desires, what their sexuality, what they want, what they desire, what they want, and all that. So we need to think about it properly and see how we can reproduce it for another day. For a breakfast TV. Or if we can't do it, we can pick a day and have a separate show separately for this kind of stuff because it's an important matter that needs to be dealt with. But let's go on a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about these herbalists that we heard that died after getting intimate with a pastor's wife. So the conversation is about what happened. Is it Magu or is it coincidental or is it the Holy Spirit, thunderbolt? Anything can happen.